Hello, John here, and welcome to another of my Toon Boom Harmony tutorial videos. I'm very excited today because we are finally going to be rigging our Batman character that we've been making over the last few videos. So if you are looking to get into Harmony and haven't currently got a copy, you can get a free trial. I think it's 21 days from the Toon Boom website. So do click in the link in the description below and go off and get your free trial of Toon Boom Harmony. And maybe you can work along with some of my videos and make your own animation in that month's trial. And I also have to kind of say that in the last video I did make a slight mistake when I was cutting out our Batman character. The one area that I did forget to kind of copy onto a new layer was the body. So if you hadn't noticed that, or don't forget to have to create a new layer for the body part, which looks something like this, like a big egg in our case. So yes, so that's something that I forgot last video. But today we are going to be rigging it. So this possibly could be quite a long video. So I want to kind of go through all the principles for rigging. Obviously this is quite a simple character because he's just a one view, one perspective character. So obviously if you were doing a character that had say 3/4 front and profile or back as well, and then it'd be a bit more complicated. So we have got quite a simple character, but still, if you're new to this sort of rigging system for this kind of 2D puppet cutout sort of style animation, it can be quite daunting. So I'm going to take my time and hopefully go through it in as much detail as possible. I also have my previous minion rigging video, so if you are also interested in seeing that, that's got lots and lots of stuff in it as well that hopefully will help. But I will go through it all again. So obviously in the last video we cut Batman into all these different pieces, and they're all now, as you've seen on the timeline down here, all on separate layers. So what the rigging process does is it connects all those pieces back up again, and makes them into basically into a skeleton that you can move and add keyframes to create your animation. It's really quite simple, even though it looks really scary. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to order our layers in the timeline. So at the timeline, the highest drawing layer is closest to the camera, and the lowest drawing layer is the one furthest away from the camera. And as you can see in the camera window here, the order is a bit wonky, like the cape is above his body and stuff. So first of all, I'm just going to quickly go down my timeline and reorder them the way I want it. So I want the cape, for example, to be at the bottom of my list. So here's the cape, and I'm just going to click on the little image and drag it below the body, like so. And now in the window there, you'll see it jump behind the body. Now the legs, you see they're on top of the body, if I zoom in. So we want those behind the body. So I'm going to find the legs and the feet and bring those behind the body, but in front of the cape, obviously. And now this arm here we want to be in front of the body, but this arm here we want to be behind the body. So this is arm number 2. So I'm going to find arm number 2 and hand number 2. By clicking shift you can select more than one, and then drag those behind the body as well, but in front of the legs and the feet. So now he looks pretty good at the moment. Let's put the feet behind the legs first. So I'm going to drag the feet behind each leg, and so he now looks right, apart from the ear there. Let's just move the ear. So ear number 2 goes behind the body. Okay, so let's just check. So at the front here we've got the eyes, followed by the nose, then the chin, then the mouth space, the badge, the first ear, and then we've got the boxes on his belt, and then the belt itself. Then we've got the first hand, the arm, and the body. Then behind the body we've got the ear, and then we've got the hand, the arm, and then the legs and feet, and then finally the cape. So that's the first stage, is to get that in the right order. I'm also just going to put the hands below the arms. They should technically be there, really. And now we're going to switch over to our node view. So I'm going to do it in this big window so that you can see it well. If you haven't got the node window up here, just select the plus button and choose node view. Okay, so click on your node view, and this rather scary window pops up. Now, like I said in my minion video, when I first saw this, it petrified me. but now I really wouldn't want to rig without it. It's absolutely brilliant. So it's definitely worth persevering with until you kind of get your head around it. So let's have a look at this initially. So at the moment, every single layer is on top of each other. So to kind of view this a bit more visually, the best thing to do is click on the display icon at the bottom, and in your toolbar, which again, if you haven't got this bar, right click on the top and select Node View. And then you've got 3 little boxes with an arrow pointing upwards. If you click on that, which is the order button, and just click OK, it orders it out so you can see it much nicer, much neater. Just so you understand this as well, the red box means it's currently not viewable, or it's unactive. If you click on it and press A, it activates it again, and D deactivates it. That's the sketch layer, so we don't want to see that at the moment. So let's have a little look at this. So the blue boxes here at the top are all the different drawing layers. So drawing layers are always blue. So the composite is basically the thing that connects all these things together. So at the moment, all these images go into this one composite. But as we rig, we'll make lots and lots of little composites to kind of join things together. But at the moment, all these drawing layers link into one composite. And the display and write are slightly more advanced, but we won't worry about those for now, because when you're first starting off, you don't really need to know about them particularly. Don't worry about them. In more advanced tutorials, I'll go through the different display and write options. But for now, you won't need to know. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all create pegs for every single one, because when we set up the software, don't forget that we can't create any keyframes on drawing layers. So for now, I'm going to create a peg for every single drawing. So I'm going to select all of my drawings, and then I'm going to do Command Shift P, and it will create a peg. And again, now where the drawings are always blue, pegs are always green. And what you'll see is it's automatically named every single peg based on the drawing layer as well. So now every single item has a peg and can be moved. So let's have a quick look at the drawing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the face, I think. So we're going to rig the face first. So coming over here into the node view again, I'm going to go down to this end where all the face parts are. So if you're dealing obviously with like a human character that has the full eye, like the pupil, the eye and the eyelid, you'd have quite a lot of rigging to do just in the eye. But our Batman character obviously just simply has a kind of white thing, so we don't need to do a huge amount of rigging here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new peg. So I'm going to do Apple P, and then I'm going to click on the little yellow box which brings up the properties of that peg. I'm going to name it face, and then put a P on the end as well and close it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the bottom box and drag this and connect up everything that comes under the face. So I'm going to connect the eyes, I'm going to connect the nose, and I'm going to connect the chin and the mouth. So there we have all the things that are in the face connected up now under that one peg. So if I go to my picture here and click on the chin, if I press the B button, it'll go up the hierarchy to the next peg, which is the chin peg. If I press B again, it'll go up to the next peg, which is the face peg, which obviously contains all those things we've just linked together. So again, if I go to the node view now, you'll see that it's highlighted the face peg. So to make this a bit neater as well, I'm going to go down to my node library. Now I've got this down here with my timeline. Again, if you haven't got your node library, click on the plus and select node library. And down here we've got lots and lots of different nodes which we can add to our node view here. So I'm going to find composite, which is down here. So this is a new composite, so same as this one, but just a one to confine a smaller amount of pieces. And I'm going to bring these now, the ones that we've linked to the face peg, into this composite, like so. And I'm going to drag and connect that composite to the first composite. So let's name this one, for example, the master composite. So everything is finally going to go into this composite, just to make it clear for you. And this one we're going to call the face composite, like so. So one really important thing to mention is the fact that when you create a new composite that's not the master one, always make sure that the mode is changed to pass through. And if you don't, you'll get a lot of issues when you're trying to nudge it in 3D space and that kind of thing. But basically, when you have a composite, a normal composite, it squashes the image flat. which can cause those problems. But if you add it to pass through, it doesn't squash the image into one. It keeps them all separate, so you can move each one separately in the 3D space. So always make sure they're set to pass through and click close. And what you'll see now is that the composite has got these kind of triangle shaped edges compared to this square edge, this slightly more purpley colour, which is quite important. Now, so that's the face done for now. And the next step I would like to do is select all of that, so the master peg of that section and the composite, and then group that. So Command G as a group, and I'm just going to name that face, and then G for group. And if you click on the far right arrow on that group, obviously it opens up the group, which is all those things we've just created there. Okay, so that's the face done. Now I think we'll go to the belt, because that's probably the next thing. So again, let's find the belt, and we're going to create another peg for that, and we're going to select connect up all the boxes on the belt. So for example, now I can select the individual boxes, and with their pegs I can move them like so. And I can also move the belt by itself as well. But if I want to, I can go up the hierarchy with the B button and now select and move them all as well. So when I'm animating, I have full flexibility on the belt. So that looks really good. And we'll go back to our node view. So we'll bring that into it to make it nice and neat. Okay, so I think the next thing we're going to do is the arms. So with the arms and the legs, I'm going to be using deformers this time rather than the pegs. And deformers are really easy to create. Quite simply, when you go on the transform tool, you click on the item you want to add the deformer to, which in this case is the first arm, and then we click on the rigging tool, which is this one here, the little hammer and spanner on the deformer toolbar. Sorry, and then you can create basically two types of deformer. You can create bone deformers, which are good when rigging a kind of more structured character and actually adding like joints in your character, that kind of thing, or a curved deformer, which basically is 2 points. Which you can move as a very natural flowing thing. So it's really good for either really bendy, cartoony characters or things like tails and hair and that sort of thing. And so in this character, I want to use a curved deformer just to give a real kind of cartoony, bendy look to the arms and the legs. So to create that, we've clicked on our rigging tool and simply go to the tool properties. And you can, here's all your selections. So this is the auto mode. So the first button is the kind of auto mode. So it depends on how you first click on the drawing. Or you can force it to create a bone or a curved deformer. So we're going to create a curved deformer. Now you always start with your first click where the pivot is going to be. So in this case, it's going to be at the kind of shoulder, at the top of the arm. So to create a curved deformer, I click on the pivot point and drag it down towards the other end of the drawing and let go. And you'll see a line appears. And now to create the second point, I go to the other end, and again I just click on the sort of final point and drag upwards, and you'll see this red line appears. Now while you're still in the rigging mode, it is a good idea to try and get that line roughly in the middle. And when you're happy with it, you simply click on the transform tool over on the animation toolbar, and that is it. So if we go to the node view, you'll see now that above the arm we've got this light blue deformer sort of control box, and above that we've got the peg. Now we will need that peg but I'll explain later. But for now, we've got this deformer here. So that's what it looks like in the node view. And then just to sort of show you what it does, so I can basically grab the pivot point controller and move the arm. But then using these toggles now, I can actually bend the arm and make it any way I want. So obviously when he's swinging his arms and stuff, when he's running, I can create really cool cartoony shapes, which will be really excellent for our animation. But obviously when we move our arm here, we want the hand to follow, but we don't really want it to be deformed along with the arm. So there's quite a good trick to do that. So in our node view, we're going to go down to our node library, and if I can find it, it always takes me ages. Let me just see if I always forget its name as well. Kinematic output. Where are you? There it is. So you drag in a kinematic output, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect that that deformer box to our kinematic output. So whatever we now connect to this output box will move with the deformer but not be deformed by it. So I'm going to connect that to the hand. So if we go back to our camera view again, if we move that rotation point, the hand will now come with the arm but not be deformed by it. So if I move that, you see the arm's being deformed but not the hand. But for example, let's say I did connect, let's go for the body, to that deformer but not to the output. When I deform the arm, the body gets deformed with it, which obviously is awful, so we don't want that. But that shows you the difference between the two. So again, and that's what we're going to do. So I'll do the same thing for this arm. I'm just going to deactivate the body a second. So I'm going to select the rigging tool and add the deformer to the arm. Transform tool to deselect from there. And then I'm going to go and select the kinematic output, connect that up to there and add the hand. So again, we've got an arm with a hand moves along with it. And the same with the leg. So again, I was going to do that exactly the same process. So start with the pivot point, then pull down and then pull from the bottom as well. And then I'm going to go in and find that one. And then connect the deformer to the kinematic output and then connect that to the foot. So when I bend my leg, the foot moves but isn't deformed. And the same with this one. Okay, so that's the arms and the legs so basically rigged. So what we're going to do here is just to sort out these patches, because obviously we need to get rid of these little black lines where this should flow naturally from the hand to the glove and from the sort of make the boot all one thing. And then there's a handy node for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all create a composite and just connect all the these two leg items to the composite. I'll move this up here for a second so we can see it. Again, I'm going to make that a pass through. And then I'm going to connect that composite back down here. So that we've got a kind of a group that we can work with. And again, I'm going to group that so that we know what it is. And that is Batman O2 leg G for group. I'm going to go into that. So let's find an auto patch and sort of a node which is here. So basically this is where it's important to make sure that the color and the color art is on the color art layer for these two drawings. So what we want is we want the color from the foot to come above the leg. So you simply take another line from that node at the bottom of the foot into the auto patch, and then take the bottom node from the auto patch and place it above the leg. So obviously the left hand side of your screen is closest to the camera, the right hand side is furthest away from the camera. So now when we go to the camera view, you'll see that that has patched that space there. So if I just move this leg around, you see whatever, or this foot around, whatever I do, it always puts that patch above the leg, which is exactly what we want. So again, I'm going to do that with this leg here. So I'm just going to move that up there for a second. Get a composite, drag those two into it, pass through, add that composite there, and then group that. Batman O1 leg group, auto patch, drag the foot into the auto patch and the auto patch above the leg. So now if I turn off my deformers, if you click on the little green circle which says show the selected deformer chain and hide others. So click on that and it will hide all the deformer chains. They're still there, you just can't see them. You'll see that the legs now are perfectly, or the feet are perfectly patched with the legs. So I'm just going to do the same with the arms now. So come back out of that group. So let's find the first arm, create a composite, drag those two things into it, group that, auto patch the hand above the arm. So there we go. So the hand now blends nicely into the bottom of the arm, so the glove looks like it's all one rather than two separate pieces. And then again we're going to do that for the other arm. Create the composite, come down, group that all together, and then do our auto patch on the hand. So drag the hand in and put that above the arm. So that's the other hand there, nicely auto patched. Okay, so we're slowly getting there. Not a huge amount more to do, which is good. Let's have a quick look. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the body, I think. And so with the body, obviously being a kind of egg shape, what I'd like him to be able to do is bend roughly from this kind of belty sort of badgy area. So I'm going to create a bone deformer for his body. So again, I've selected the body. I'm going to go to my rigging tool. Now, unlike the curved deformers where you drag and pull, with a bone deformer, you simply just click where you want it to go. So I want my pivot point to be at the bottom here. So I'm going to do one click and let go. And then you do a second click for where the sort of bend is going to be. So I'm going to put in it roughly there for now. And then the final click is the kind of top of the drawing. So I'm going to put that right up the top here by his head. And now you'll see what it's created is a little circle. And again, while in the rigging mode, you basically grab that and you put it out and make it as big, generally within the drawing shape. And you can move it around and get that the way you want it. And then you can obviously access it by hitting the transform tool. And now we can see Batman bending. And I'm quite happy with that. That looks quite good. So we'll stick with that for now, and we can change it later. So with the same with the arms and the legs and stuff, we obviously want things to move. Because when we bend Batman, or get him to bend his body, obviously all these other things should be moving with him. So again, we need to create a kinematic output. So I'm going to go and find that, which always takes me absolutely ages. I was using it a minute ago. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to connect the deformer body box to that. Now we need to obviously, first of all, we want the face. So the face is going to come, so we're going to drag that over to the face. We want the arm to move with the body, but not be deformed by it. We want the ear to move, but not be deformed by it. We want the other arm to move but not be deformed by it. And we want the cape to move but not be deformed by it. Where's the other ear? Over here. So we want the ear to move but not be deformed by it. So let's just test that. So at the moment these things all move. And that looks quite good. So I think the belt needs to come with it and be moved with it. So I'm going to select the deformer and drag a second one down or third one down from there into the belt, and we'll just test it so that it obviously deforms with the body, which looks good. Obviously here, for example, we need to put the arm above the belt there, so we'll do that later. And the badge as well, that needs to be deformed as he bends. So let's just take another one down to the badge. So now you see everything's bending and moving with Batman. So let's just sort that arm out. So that's arm number 1, which is here, needs to come above all the belt. So let's first of all create a composite for the belt and drag all the belt bits into that. It's just really making it tidy. You haven't got to do this, but it just makes it tidy. So we can see it, and then we're going to drag the arm above the belt. Again, make that pass through just to be sure. So now when we bend his arm, so the arm is now above the belt, which works really well. So I think one of the last things to do is the cape. So we're going to take the cape, which is here, and I'm going to add a deformer to this as well. And with this one I'm going to use a curve deformer. So I'm going to use the rigging tool. Let's first of all just get rid of the body for a second so we can see it. And I'm going to click somewhere in sort of in the one third of the way down area and pull. And then I'm going to click up from the bottom there. The reason why I did that rather than not at the top was when we deform it, I'm going to use this tool here only. I'm not going to use this top one. So I will rotate the cape, and then I'm going to use just that tool only. So I don't really want the top part to be deformed too much. Okay, so if we select the whole of Batman, we can click on the show deformer button. It will show us all of our deformers, and we'll see that as we test, just give a little quick test rig, make sure that everything works. As it should do. Okay, so that's the kind of basic rig done then. So kind of getting on some more advanced things. Obviously with the sort of flexibility of this rig, I'll just turn everything off for a second. What we can do is we can kind of do whole body turns now with just this one drawing. So as we animate, we can move all these sections along. It will look a bit like his body's turning. Obviously it's not completely right, but we can get a basic gist of it. But obviously at the moment with the face, for example, we've got this bit. As we move it across, it's good, but if we get too close to the edge of the body, obviously it goes over the body and obviously doesn't work. But so what we can do is we can add a thing called a cutter, which will cut anything that goes past the outside of the body. But in this situation, we obviously don't want the nose to be cut or the chin, because they will need to stick out obviously from the face as his face moves around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this face, obviously go into the face group, and I'm going to select the chin and the nose, and I'm going to copy them and get rid of them from this group. So it's just those things there. And then I'm going to go up a level and just paste them back in again for a second. So the face group, what's left of it, which is the eyes and the mouth, I want them to be cut. So, wrong one. So I'm going to go to my node library and find the cutter, which is here, and drag that in. So what this basically does, don't forget, is that it cuts an image with another image. So I want the body, which is here, to cut my face of the Batman face, not my face, obviously. So first of all, I'm just going to make sure that the color, which currently is not, is on the color art layer. So you'll see on the cutter it has two nodes. So what goes into the right hand node is what is going to be cut. So I'm going to cut the face with that node. So that's going into the right hand side, and what I'm going to use to cut the face goes into the other side. So the body. So I'm going to take another line from the body and put that into the left hand side of the cutter. And now I'm going to take the cutter and add that to the composite. Now, if I go to the camera view, you'll see it's disappeared completely. So go to the cutter, select the options, which is the little yellow box, and click inverted and close it. And now you'll see that when I move this across, it will cut in. So there, you see, it's cut the line. And depending on what you want, you can leave it like this, but obviously it does get rid of the outline. So it depends on whether or not you want to keep that like that. If you don't, what you can do is you can add a line art node, which is down here. And we'll take another line from the body. So obviously this basically only takes the line art, so not the colour, only the line art. And you can place that above the face. Now then we obviously need to then add everything else higher. Just make sure that's going to be right. And you'll see the lines back in again. So I'm wondering whether or not we should go with it like that. I think that looks quite cool. We'll see, we'll see. But obviously now we need to add these things back in. So I'm going to add obviously the chin higher than the face and the nose higher than the face group. Now I'm going to then add another peg to this group. And then connect that to the chin and to the nose. So we come back in again. Now we can select all of them together. But as we go up the hierarchy and select them all, as we draw closer, the nose and the chin won't be cut by the cutter. So then when we're animating, we can obviously move the nose and tilt that around when I've done the pivot points, and the chin. They will stick out from the body, so it'll look nice in 3D as we do it. Okay, let's have one more look then. So it's getting very confusing here. I might actually group all this belt stuff because it's very confusing. Let's just do our tidy up with our ordering option. So the only thing we've got left to do really is to connect. Let's just check. I'm going to do a master peg now. So I'm going to, on the body, I'm going to do another one and then just call this Batman master peg. And with that one, I'm going to connect it up to the things that aren't connected. So I think it's just the legs, I think. Let's definitely check. Okay. So I think the basic rig is now done. But the main thing, once you've done the rig like this, is then to set the pivot points. At the moment, you'll see that everything is pivoted, not in the right place, basically. So what I'm going to do is go through all the peg layers using the rotate tool, which is this one up here, the little circle with the dot in the middle, and drag that to where I want it to be. So I'm going to go through each layer with that tool and just put where I want the pivot point to be. For example, with the eyes here, I've put the pivot point slightly into the middle, so that what we can do is we can stretch the eyes open and make them smaller and stuff to kind of give a bit of expression. We can obviously add different eye shapes in as well, but when you're animating, you might want to add a little bit of a close or something. So you can do that, and again, by moving the pivot point into slightly different positions, gives slightly different effects. So that works a bit better. So it's always worth just sort of checking, particularly on the eyes, where the best position is going to be for that. I actually quite like that actually, so I'll stick with that one. I'll change this one as well to match it. But always kind of just test them, see what you think, make sure they all work the way you like them to. And don't forget to make sure that you're actually on the peg layer by going up in the hierarchy with the B button, having a yellow box around it. If you've got a pink box, you're on the drawing layer. If you're on if you're on the one with the yellow box, you're on the peg layer. And you can always check by going to your node view and just seeing which box is highlighted. So in this case, it's got this. This is the ear, which is correct. The other way to do it is to click on the actual pegs in the node view. Go back to the timeline and make sure they're definitely pegged in the right place. Let's go to the master peg. Let's make sure the master peg has got one. I'll put it at the bottom of his body. Okay, so I think he's basically rigged now. I'm just going to again highlight all of him and then just do some little tests just to kind of see if I'm happy with the way it all works. So I can still move the chin, for example, individually, but I can go up the hierarchy to the face. Let's just check that. And the cutter's working. All the arms are working. The hand is working in by itself, but obviously with the arm as well. The badge is working. Again, I'm going to add a cutter to that, I think, as well. So I need to do that. And all the belt. All the individual bits of the belt are all working. Not happy with the pivot on there. And then, for example, if I grab the upper body as such, then that's all linked together as well. Moving the arm, leaving the legs. So let's just add a cutter to the badge. So cutter. So what is going to be cut goes into the right hand side, and what we're going to use to cut, which is the body, goes into the left hand side, and then this goes onto the master composite. Oh, and don't forget to invert the cutter. And now let's do a quick test again. As it goes past the body, it disappears. So that'll be really handy. When we're doing the run, for example, obviously his body can move slightly left and right as he's running, which will just add a bit more realism to his character, even though he's quite cartoony. So let me just have a ponder. Have I managed to remember everything to go through? I'm sure there's something that I've forgotten, so I'll have to fix that at some point. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there. Obviously, rigging is quite a complicated thing, and obviously it does differ character to character. So some of the stuff you've learned today maybe won't work in your character, or you'll need extra skills if your character, if it's a bit more advanced than this Batman one, to get it to work well. But obviously, if you have any questions, then please do leave a comment, and I will get back to you. If you'd like to watch some of my previous videos, you can click on some of the moving links above my head. And of course, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button. And you can also contact me on Twitter. So just send me a tweet at Mr. John Taylor, and again, I'll try and get back to you ASAP. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll be back very shortly with another video. Alright, bye for now.